Good morning, everyone. I see many people joining. So we're on top of the hour, so I'd say we get started right on top. Never punish the punctual people. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our What's New in SAP Build Q4 2025 webinar. It's really nice to see that so many of you really took the time to be here. Thank you very much. And before we get into the exciting updates that we like to show to you today, just a couple of quick housekeeping points. We're going to record the session and we'll share both the recording and the slides afterwards, so you don't need to worry about capturing everything on your own. You're good to go with us. And we have a mixed audience today with customer partners and also our SAP colleagues. So a very warm welcome to all of you from wherever you're joining from. And if you have questions at any point, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A tool rather than the chat, because the chat is really just visible to us as hosts, but questions in the Q&A can be seen by everyone along with the answers, which, as you know, makes it much easier to follow for the group to follow along. We'll keep an eye on the Q&A throughout the session, and also we have some time dedicated at the end to go through any unanswered questions or new questions that popped up on your end. So let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Friederike Marby, and I'm a product manager for SAP Build, and I am happy that I can be our moderator for today. And I'm joined by 5 very capable, very charming speakers from SAP Build and SAP in general. We have product managers from SAP Build here, a lead architect, a project manager from SAP Mobile Start, and we're really looking forward to showing you what we've been working on over the last quarter. So with that, let's take a quick look at what we're going to cover today. We'll start with agent building in Joule Studio. Then we'll move on to operational control and visibility for automating processes, followed by our AI-powered UI5 development section. And after that, we'll walk you through enhancements for digital experiences and mobile start, which are fueled by AI. And then we'll wrap it up with a Q&A at the end so that you can, at that time, bring in your own questions. And with that, happy to let you be on stage, Jenny. Take us away.
Thank you, Friederike. Okay, so as Friederike said, I will present you today the agent building in Joule Studio topic. Let's get started with. So as some of you may already know, the agent builder in Joule Studio is generally available since December last year. This enables you to build agents with Joule Studio. Just a quick reminder, AI agents are basically tools that can execute complex business scenarios by iteratively reasoning and interacting with their environments to achieve a certain goal. They can leverage certain tools in order to solve a problem and use LLMs for reasoning and understanding. They can also use, of course, SAP data and so-called Joule skills to perform actions. With the new agent capabilities, you are now able to build the Joule agents for adaptive multiple-step problem solving. You can operate, of course, between SAP and non-SAP environments, and you're also able to augment decision-making further. But now let's get a little bit more into the details how everything looks like. So first of all, I want to highlight some of the most important features that we have in the agent builder. So the first thing would be AI-guided development, which means that you can use vibe coding to generate Joule agents. Important to say here is, of course, that you don't have to use vibe coding, but of course it can make your life easier, especially when you have the problem designing some expertise and instructions for the agent. This can come in quite handy. But of course, it's still possible to do some things manually. For example, if you want to adjust the model or other things, this is still possible in that way. Then the second thing that I want to highlight is MCP tool support, where you can connect external tools and applications with support for MCP, which will make the whole framework even more open and gives you more opportunities to bring in your own MCP service. And then the last thing is agent orchestration. So of course, we also thought about an agent orchestration layer where you can build a modular AI workforce with Joule agents. So you have the possibility to have one orchestration agent and use other Joule agents within these agents that are then specialized on doing a certain task. Yeah, but now enough of the overview. I also want to show you a little bit on how the agent building experience looks like. So now on the screen, you can see a little bit on how designing such an agent looks like. And the first thing that usually comes to our mind is, of course, that we have to specialize our agent with expertise and instructions. So you start basically defining the agent's purpose and behavior with natural language, or you can also use vibe coding and clearly articulate the goals that the agent should achieve. And then the agent can use this, of course, for reasoning and acting within the boundaries that you have defined for it. The second thing that I want to highlight here in the design process is, of course, that you have the option to select your own model of your choice. So we have a vast variety of models available that you can use. They are also based on AI core, so there's also some security measurements and data masking and things like that that come together with the available models here. The second thing, or the third thing, sorry, is that we, of course, have certain tools that are available that we can use. And the first tool that I already mentioned is the MCP service. So you have the option to add your MCP server as a tool to your agent, to connect the agent to external tools and applications, so that it can also execute seamlessly in a heterogeneous environment. Another tool that I want to highlight now is document crowning, because of course a lot of agents rely on information that comes from documents. So this is also possible in Joule Studio. Important to say here is that these documents are vectorized in AI Core, which means in order to use this feature, you need your own AI Core instance. And when a query is received by the agent with the document crowning tool, it can basically perform a similarity matching to retrieve the relevant information to generate an accurate response based on the document. Another tool that I also want to highlight is, of course, that we also have Joule skills as tools, which can be a quite important tool because it enables the agent to perform deterministic rule-based tasks such as compliance reporting or approvals quite naturally. And of course, you also have the option to, for example, call APIs through this Joule skills, which can also come in handy in your agent design process. Okay, so far everything on how the agent design looks like. I also want to show you two short demos. The first demo will use vibe coding in order to create the agent, and the second one will create the agent from scratch. So our first agent is the store restocking agent. This basically checks current active restocking orders for a specified store location. If some stock is missing, the agent fetches the current suppliers for this missing stock and can then trigger a purchase request if wished by the user. It uses one of the models that we have available. We also have our instruction defined, and we also have, of course, a set of tools for the agent to use. The first one here that I want to mention is MCP, where you can then trigger the purchase request. We also have document crowning enabled there, which can give us our supplier context that we may need for our missing stock. And we have also several Joule skills that help us checking the store inventory, getting the material details, and also tracking shipment. And then the last tool that I also want to mention is the SAP agent, which is specialized on contract compliance checking. So this can then also be used by our restocking agent. And now let's have a look at how this looks like in our demo. So as said, vibe coding is used, and we are now describing what we want to do to Joule. Joule gives us a proposal that we accept, and then Joule is creating the agent with certain expertise for us. It's also pre-selecting the model for us and adding the skills as described in our text in here. Afterwards, we add manually a document crowning tool. In this case, we have the supplier contacts in our tool. And then we also add our sub-agent that we have previously created. And last but not least, we also want to have an MCP server as a tool, which we also choose, which is connected via a BTP destination to our SAP Build cockpit. And now at the end, we use swipe coding again. So go back to the this creation and ask Joule to update the agent instructions with the new tool information. Afterwards, we can start the testing and then write some information to Joule. And also then, of course, see what Joule is doing, have some information. So we can also click into the logs to see which data was pulled by Joule so that we get a thorough testing experience. And then when we're happy with our agent, we can release and deploy it into our Joule functions. Yeah, so this is the first demo with the vibe coding, and now I also have a second one, which is the agent for warehouse operations. This agent detects overload activities in warehouses, so it checks if there's a critical area. If so, it fetches the current staffing to run an optimization to simulate the best reallocation of resources. This Joule agent uses Claude as a model. We also have our memory and instructions, of course, and we have 3 types of tools. The first one is, again, the tool skills, where we check the workload situation, assign resources, and simulate the workflow optimization. And the second one is document crowning, where we basically based our policies and procedures on it. And then the last one is the calculator, which we use for calculations. And now let's have a look at this demo. So as you can see now, we are creating the Joule agent manually. So we have to give it a name and also the description on what the agent should do so that it can later on be detected by Joule. Afterwards, we get in the expertise, which is on a high level what the agent should do. Afterwards, we provide the instructions where we detail out how an agent should perform its work, what tools it has available, what tools can do, and also some additional context where we can provide how it should communicate, how it should format the answers, and other information as well. Then afterwards, we can choose a model. In this case, we could choose a Claude model. And then we can also have some advanced configuration for the model in order to decide how much processing the agent can use. Afterwards, we add the Joule skills and our calculator tool. And then as the last tool, we also add a document crowning tool where we have our compliance documents available. So as soon as this is added, we can save our project, and then similar to in the other thing, we can again test our project and test whether our agent is working as expected. So in this case, we want to see if there's a critical activities for our warehouse when we have 6 a.m. as a start date. We can see in the timeline what Joule is doing, how is it checking for answers, also what tools it's using, and then later on, when the answer is required, we can drill in the whole thing. Yeah. So now we have the answer for our maintenance. So we can see that there's no critical areas identified by our agents. And it also gives us some recommendation what to do next. In this case, we should continue monitoring the workload situation periodically to ensure that there's no changes in our order volume or other factors. And now we can also drill in the details on what the agent does. So we can see the data that it used and that was pulled by the agent from several tools. And we can also have an overview on what the agent was thinking, so how it was analyzing the whole um, prompt basically and finding the solution. And then the same thing we want to do now for the 7 a.m. Time frame. So we basically have the same thing again. Joule is thinking about it, and then later on we will be able to get the answer and also check the responses in more detail. In this case, we see that we also formatted our response a little bit differently. There's two options at the moment. You can either format it yourself or use Joule. Leave it up to Joule on how the output format looks like. And then, of course, again, we can see the data and also see our agent thinking and also have, of course, our conclusions from what is then shown here. Yeah, and with that, testing is completed. And then, of course, we can do similar to what we saw in the previous demo. We can release and deploy it. Yeah, and with that, that's the part on agent building. And I will hand over to Win for the next part.
Thanks, Jenny. Nice demos. And now let me give you an overview of the operational control and visibility for automating processes. So we have a couple of features that were released in Q4. The first that I would like to talk about is HTML template-based notifications. So as of now, if you look at the challenges, we did not have an option of including HTML format in the emails. And this is also considered as a big migration blocker for the customers who are using SAP Workflow Management, because there you could have HTML-based emails. And this is also a big adoption gap for the non-migration customers because they still want to have these HTML capabilities. And what they were asking constantly was that we need visually appealing UI components in our mails as well. So on the right side, if you see, we have now ability to have notifications. It's called notification as an activity. You can see it already on Process Builder, where you can have the HTML editing capabilities as well. So this is not possible in email as such, but notification is where you can do this configuration. So what this ensures is that you can have rich HTML email authoring. You can see already you have this HTML editor. You can have dynamic and conditional content. So dynamic content in the sense, if you look at the right side of the screenshot, there is something called variable section, and there's this task created variables. So this means that you can also have the variables from your processes. Also, you can define your own variables. So if you click anywhere in the message while defining the message, you can also use these variables in your email content. So this is also possible the way you define in email. Similarly, you can use your process variables as well. You can have advanced layout and styling, and you can also have attachments and reusable templates. So when I say reusable templates, it means that you can have these templates created in your project and you can reuse them. In the current email capability, you do not have this feature where you can reuse these email templates. Okay, so now let's go to the next feature. This is about streamlining migration to SBPA with the no correlation feature in process visibility. So if you have currently BTP workflow and SBPA processes, and you want to see the end-to-end visibility on the dashboard, that's not really possible. There are technology gaps. There's a disconnect between the visibility because they are not interconnected. So you cannot see the end-to-end process visibility. There is no consistency in the reporting when both the environments are running in parallel. So we have introduced this feature using which what you can do is, if you have your legacy workflows and new workflows, you can create something called process groups, and each of these process groups are like standalone. And when you want to chain any two processes, or you can say what is the attribute mapping, like what is input output of these process groups, you can define that. And if something is not part of any correlation or any way related to other processes, you can say, you just turn on this flag here that is showing yes. It says enable visibility scenario to include non-correlated processes. That means I'm marking my process group as not correlated, and so that is considered in that way. And also during the dashboard that you see at the end, this also shows up. It doesn't matter if it's not related to any of the existing processes. You can still see the end-to-end visibility. Okay, so this helps in also getting, bridging the technology gap that we have it all connected in the final dashboard. So the next topic that we have is for decisions. So this is called append operation for list results. If you have any decisions that are having list result, and let's say in that decision you have multiple rules. Earlier, what used to happen is that if all the rules execute, then the latest rule output is always overriding the previous outputs. Okay, it is not like appending fashion. So what happens? The results are getting overridden. You do not have flexibility to add these results directly. And if you want to do this, then you have to use your own logic, custom coding, and all that you have to do. But right now, what we provide is that by default, this append operation will be applicable for the new rules, but the existing ones, what you can do is you can choose to update. So you'll get a pop-up. It's highlighted in the first screenshot that do you want to update your decision table result behavior? And if you select that, you can see the second pop-up that says what is existing behavior and what is the new behavior. And you can enable the new behavior. So this is what the user can do. And after they select the new behavior, or even if you're starting to create a new decision with list outputs, this is automatically applied. The results are aggregated and it is accumulated. It's not like the last rule that executes is overriding. And so if this enables you to have a combined result, and it supports complex business processes. So customers do get back to us saying, okay, I want an append feature, I don't want an override feature. So this is going to be very helpful for them. Next topic again is for decision tables as well. So here we have introduced an activate and deactivate individual decision rules. So why this is introduced? What is the current challenge? You do not have a control at rule level initially, and all the rules that you have maintained always gets executed. You don't have an option to choose which one you want to execute and which one you do not want to execute. So sometimes this is not the outcome that you are expecting, and you don't have the flexibility to just mark some rules out of the execution for time being. But now you can choose the rules that you want to deactivate. And once you deactivate, you can see here, this is like a disabled, and also the execution order gets changed automatically. And when you activate it back, again, the execution order is changed. So what this does is that while execution, that particular rule is skipped for execution, you get your desired result. And even though the rule is deactivated, you can still edit and you can again enable it later on. So next topic that we have is the last from SAP Build process automation is the ability to assign tasks to a group in monitoring workflow applications. So let's understand the challenge first before we get to the benefits of this feature. So challenge is, let's say you are having user tasks which is created in design time. You have users that are assigned to it, and now the process is running. If you want to edit it, we had an option to edit the users. But if you want to add the user group, this was not possible earlier. But customers have come back to us asking, we want user groups, because in real world scenarios, they generally use a complete group. They do not assign to individual users, which perfectly makes sense. But we do not have this feature. So they had requested this. So we have enabled this now. So you can also add recipient groups. So even if your workflow is running, you can assign it to a group, and then it's taken care that the task is assigned to the group as of now. So this allows quick reassignment of tasks, and immediately that task is transferred to the group. We have a clear confirmation also. Once it is successfully updated in the backend, you get a confirmation, and this helps in maintaining your deadlines and timelines as well. So that's it from my side from SAP Build process automation. Now over to you, Andrea.
Thank you very much. I am going to share my screen now because I want to show a live demo. Should be happening in a second. All right. I assume that you now hear me and see my screen. I'm going to show you something about AI-powered UI5 development. So in the past, we have already provided in SAP Joule for developers and build code several features for UI5 freestyle development, like creating new pages, translating your UI5 application from JavaScript to TypeScript, and also very recently released in the past few days, something for extensions, extensibility and adaptation projects. But now I want to show you something about creating new applications from scratch. So when you want to create a new UI5 freestyle application, then there's a new feature released last November, I think. It's one of those new slash commands, slash UI5 create app is the new one, which allows you to create an application from scratch, which is built according to all the best practices and which is tailored to the needs for your target application as a starting point. It's environment aware in some kind, so it inspects the workspace, and if it finds a CAP application there, then it will find out which models, which services are used there, and suggest some tailored prompts. You will see this in the demo in a second. And then with this feature, you can iterate over the proposed application setup until it fits your needs, and then you can accept it. So what it does, it provides you a tailored, template-based application starting point based on all the best practices of UI5. It's not AI coding, it's AI controlled, how the template is configured. So it's totally reliable starting point. What it does not do, it's not a coding agent where you say, oh, in the end, my application should have this and that feature and many, many pages. This feature is not an AI agent that walks you through features and writes more and more code. It just gives you the starting point. And from there, you can then continue with the slash UI5 command, for example, or whatever you need for AI development of UI5. But let's jump right into the demo. So here I have a CAP application with a certain incidents model here and an incident service. And there's no UI5 application right now, so no UI. If I would start it with npm start, I would just see this empty page that gives you access to all the services for testing. So now we want to create a UI5 application on top of that. We can use the slash command here. Actually, in this proposal list, we already see it, UI5 create app, so I don't need to type it. And when I select it, I get some sample prompts, generic ones like create a simple Hello World app, but also the ones that I mentioned before that are context sensitive, based on knowledge that there's a CAP application at the root of the workspace. So that's important to find it. It must be at the root. Then it's inspected automatically. And for example, we can pick the incidents from the processor service. And the prompt that is then filled here has even more details like concrete properties and the URLs from which the service is gonna serve the data. And now I trigger this prompt. And what Joule is thinking and creating a proposal for what I want to create here. Sometimes it takes shorter, sometimes longer, especially because it's a live demo. Joule comes back with a proposal. Okay, let's set up your application, propose a namespace that fits my needs, for example, finds a base path that is within the CAP project's app folder, which makes total sense. Has the right URL and properties. And it recommends me to use TypeScript because that's like cool and modern and totally recommended, by the way. You can now in this box, you can see all the files. You can click at them to preview what's proposed there. For example, you can check the app controller. And now you realize maybe, okay, TypeScript isn't my thing. I still would prefer to go with JavaScript. So you say, create JS config instead. I sometimes also typed, I'm very conservative, nothing else, and it says, oh, when you're more conservative, maybe you prefer JavaScript instead of TypeScript. So it's an LLM which understands my needs. And it knows all the boundaries, what the template can do. So I could ask for like make 1,000 tables inside the app. And then it will tell you, no, 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 the template doesn't have any tables. You can do it later, but I can only create a template from the start. And now you see we don't have an app controller TS anymore, but it's now an app controller JS with a good old UI5 syntax here. And you could iterate over this until it fits your needs. And then you say accept application. So this will immediately copy over all the files you see here So when we go to the app, you see the web app controller, everything is now there. And it's installing the NPM dependencies, which takes a couple of seconds, but then it's done. So all these files, it would take a lot of time, a lot of AI tokens, and come to an unreliable result if you would just have an AI agent create everything from scratch. For like 30 files, you would be busy for quite a while, and every attempt would result in something slightly different. So this tool, this new feature gives you a very solid and very quick and reliable starting point. And just to prove that it works, let's say npm start and reload that one here. Now you see there are no web applications here, so that's the application that the feature has added. And when I open it, you see some sample data here. Well, actually the data from the CUP service here with a table and the form, so master detail or display. And of course, this is not exactly what you want to have in the end of when the application is done, but it's a solid starting point and gives some things you can play with and which you can extend upon. By the way, before going back to the slides, I have also written a blog post about the feature here, which I will post to the chat in a second, about the feature itself. Joule can now create freestyle UI5 apps if you are interested in details and some more examples for prompting. But also a blog post about the background, about how we control AI in this feature by giving the Joule LLM boundaries, what it can do, what it cannot do. And you as a user give it some goal to achieve. And within these boundaries, it's, so to say, autonomous. It can act in a way that best helps you to this goal. And how exactly we did this, it's described here. So if you're interested. But let's go back to the slides. So this is what I just mentioned. The main paradigms behind the scenes are we really use a large language model within Joule here for the understanding of the user, for the user's needs, for the conversation. So this is where LLMs excel in language processing. But we use, in this case, deterministic code with a template for getting a reliable starting point for your application and for speed. And as I just said, the LLM only gets the guidance, like the goal it has to achieve and the limits, and no concrete instructions. If the user asks for this, then we do that, but it's free to act within those limits, so to say. And this gives a nice conversation experience, I think. And in the end, as you have seen with the sample prompts, so we pre-collect a lot of context about the current project, what files are there, is there a CUP project? If yes, then we inspect it, what services are there? And there's a lot of context provided, so the LLM in Joule can do good decisions about how the application that is created should be tailored to the user's needs. And that's it already from my side. So thanks a lot, and I'm handing over, stopping my sharing, and handing over to Yumna.
Okay, so I am Yumna and I'm here to give you the updates on the SAP Build work zone side. So all the enhancements that we've had for the digital experiences, and when I say digital experiences, I'm referring to SAP Build work zone within the SAP Build family. Today, I will be focusing mostly on the AI capabilities that we have released in the previous quarter, so in Q4 2025. So to start with, the first capability that I would want to announce here is the user experience integration, the Joule integration with our user experience, which is a work zone. So to start with, SAP Build Work Zone was integrated with Joule in the previous quarter, and it was for the standard edition, it was already starting in start of 2025, but now we're happy to announce that this is also available within the SAP Build Work Zone Advanced Edition. which means that also automatically coming to the SAP Build works on success factors as well. And this is a way also, as you see on your screen with the short demo video that was just going on, that what you're able to do is that the users are able to interact with Joule in a conversational style using the diamond button on top of the screen. And using that, you can basically have a conversation with Joule. You can get your answers. You can navigate to business applications. Just as an example, if you want to check for a status of a purchase order, previously you would have to navigate to a specific business app for that. But now you can get your answers while staying on the Joule window by just asking for the update on this specific purchase order, and Joule is going to fetch this information for you, and it will get you the required details. Other than that, what is the benefit that you get with this is that it enhances the end user experiences, and Joule is helping you work much faster and smarter. And this is available on desktop and also on mobile devices. So this is a good news for everyone who has been waiting, and all of our customers who have been waiting for this integration for a long time. So we're happy to now have this and close the loop with all the additions integrated with Joule. Moving forward, we have some other AI capabilities as well that I would want to talk about. So the embedded content assistance that we have available within WorkZone now, which means that, as you can see on the screenshot now, so starting off with the top screenshot, that you can see that you can generate text within WorkZone. So you can basically use the AI capabilities without leaving the WorkZone page, and you're able to generate text with it. So you can generate replies or feed updates as well. In this case, again, just as an example, if you're looking for a comment about some of the new HR policies that were released and you want to create a feed update with it, so you can generate this specific text just by giving some bullet points, and the AI assistant the content AI assistant will help you create or generate this text. Then moreover, as you see on one of the other screenshots as well, is that you are able to create content for your work pages as well, which means that if you want to write an introductory text for your new workspace that you've just created, you can write that with the help of AI, embedded AI. And not just writing, but also now that starting from the previous quarter, what you can also do now is that you can change the tone. So if you want to, for example, make it more casual or more professional, you can adjust the length, so make it longer or shorter. And you can also fix the grammars and spelling. And all of this just by highlighting the text and then selecting and using AI to help you with it. And lastly, one important capability is the summarization also, which if you have like a long document, which is like 20 pages long or something, you can summarize that long document into a few sentences, as you can see on the screenshot at the bottom as well. So moving forward, a very good news for everyone over here is the AI promotional model that we have been running since the past few months within WorkZone. So you can actually check out your use cases. So all these AI capabilities that I just talked about, the text, the summarization and the text generation, this is for now under free of charge under our promotional model. So you can go and test them out. You can see, you can make use of all of these AI-based features. And this is valid until the 30th June 2026. So you still have a few more months to play around with these AI capabilities and see how useful they are for you. And you can also, just as a note, as a side note, that these AI features are continuously evolving within a work zone right now. So some of the features that I've shown to you today will be enhanced or be made better also in the next few months. So also stay up to date, but also you can expect some changes that will be coming or that are coming to our user experience. So with that, that was all from the work zone side, and I would hand it over to Robert for Mobile Start updates.
Thank you so much, Yumna, and also warm welcome from my side. More than happy to share with you the two main additions from an SAP Mobile Start perspective that we delivered with our 2.5 release in Q4 last year. So as probably all of you know, Apple has released their new liquid glass design language in 2025. And for us, obviously, it was important to also adopt that into SAP Mobile Start. And the two main benefits are that on the one hand side, it delivers a nice dynamic user experience. But equally important, and you can see that on the screenshot on the right-hand side, it even allows for more real estate, screen real estate, because once the end user scrolls the screen up or down, the navigation bar collapses, and this again provides more screen real estate to work with, which obviously is beneficial for the end user. Let's move to the second slide, please. We also updated two features for our to-do handling in SAP Mobile Start. To-dos in SAP Mobile Start are basically workflows and tasks coming from the SAP Task Center service. And here we introduced the self-defined semantic groups, which were already available in the Task Center service. And we also wanted to improve the overview on the to-do screen that you can see on the right-hand side by introducing a list view. So on the left-hand side, you see the new filter options that we introduced, which now allows the end user to filter for these semantic groups, which are defined by the administrator in the SAP Task Center service. And then they are available here in SAP Mobile Start themselves. What you see here are simply examples. Again, those can be freely defined by the administrator for the company. And on the right-hand side, this was a requirement coming from our customers that on top of showing the more comprehensive to-do card view, a more compact list view that allows for showing more to-dos on one screen, and that allows the end user to navigate through the to-dos by simply scrolling up and down. Obviously, the filter criteria are still available and are applied to that list view as well. But this way now we have two ways how end users can work with the to-dos on the to-do screen, either by showing them, displaying them in the typical card view or with a new, more compact list view layout. Those were already the additions from a Mobile Start perspective. Thank you for your attention. And with that, I would like to hand over back to Friederike